This is Brandon Clay. Appreciate you tuning into the Brandon Clay Scouting Show. Big day today. We're talking about the first release of our 247 Sports rankings. Really proud of what we've done collectively as a team. Definitely want to shout out the whole group. We'll get right into it. We're still going to go kind of old school where we break it down by class. So today will be the 25 class. 26 class will be next week, and then we'll take a sneak peek at 27 the following week. I've been all over the country. Just finished with the overtime select finals. If you haven't seen some of my coverage on that, or social media wise, make sure you follow me. They do a great job. I thought it was an elite level league. I'm gonna dive more into that before the 26th class because I thought it was a really good platform. But just know that exists and it's awesome. Select events did a great job with some of their events. Nike, EYBL, Adidas, Under Armour, all the different places that I've been. Made Hoops Next Generation Camp in conjunction with Army National Guard, the NCAA Academy in Rock Hill. You name it, I've been there. Elite 24 in Brooklyn. It's been a long couple of months. You can ask people in my circle. I was a little gassed last week, but I got a little juice, so let's get to it. The battle for number one. Aaliyah Chavez out of Lubbock, Texas, has kind of held that spot, for a couple of years to the mass public. We're not going to change that. She's played really well. She's been on the East Coast. She's been on the West Coast. I saw a picture of her day at Sunny out in L.A., at the Mamba event. I mean, she's been everywhere. She's been really good. So her team, Sapphire, won the Nike Nationals Championship. But Sienna Betts out of Colorado and Jasmine Davidson out of Oregon made it close. I actually know Jazz Davidson's trainer really well, Ashley Corral, and they've done a great job. She's gotten Davidson's game to a place that is exponentially better and more polished and refined than it was 2 years ago. So kudos to the both of them. And then, Sienna Betts is just awesome. She could shoot it. Watched her in Ohio. She actually played one of our club teams with her Hardwood Elite 3 SSB team, and she was a factor on the Adidas circuit. She was a factor against us. She's been a factor for USA Basketball. Everywhere that she's gone, she's been really, really good. So, all three of them can flat out play. And interested, honestly, to follow this all the way through McDonald's and, that time span Nike Hoop Summit in the spring. We will release a final ranking on the backside of the season. I believe in that. Something that I've done, for years. Jackie Young was a direct recipient of that final ranking where I was like, hey, this kid's really, really good. I remember watching her at McDonald's and just thinking, oh, boy, Danny Rago was there, who was her club program coach at the time. And I was like, well, we have her 6 or 7. That's a little bit too low. Let's adjust that. Let's get her up into that 1-2 slot on the way out. And Jackie Young makes me look smart every time she takes the floor. Just behind them at the 4 and 5 slots, Agat Makir and then Aaliyah Crump. Both will head to Mount Verde Academy this year. Play for Matt Shoemate. Saw Matt at several events this summer. He's worked his tail off. Several high school programs have really taken that next step to become national level programs, and Mount Verde is one of them. I remember watching Mount Verde, the boys' side, Christmas Eve. Ben Simmons was still in high school. They were at City of Palms. It was his first year, not his second, so his junior year. And the game ended up literally spilling over. It was a December 23rd start for the championship. The gymnasium got too humid at about 6 o'clock. They had to call it off. They ended up finding this little auxiliary gym to play the championship game in. Ben Simmons was playing in a COP title game at like 12:07, and that was my introduction to Mount Verde. Here we are a decade later. They've done a great job with their girls program as well. Looking ahead, give me a couple of kids. Right? People always say that. Give me a couple of names, people you think might outperform, maybe somewhere the other major platforms have them ranked. I think the two for this one, Jada Civil and Addie Deal. Jada Civil, got her in the top 15. I think she's a 2-game All-American caliber kid. Fantastic athlete, runs, jumps. Reminds me a lot of, you talk about Travis Hunter right now in football for Colorado. Can play cornerback or receiver. There was a play that Civil made in January at an event that I was at, and she started out on the right sideline, the press coverage. Ball swings, gets reversed. It's going to the left sideline. She literally just runs sideline to sideline, beats everybody to it, grabs it, and then comes and makes a play for a dish for an assist. And it's in that moment, it's like, okay, this kid got something special. And then she backed that up when I saw her play this summer. Just plays with an edge and intensity. A kid knocked her goggle off. The lens fell out of her glass goggle. And I'm sitting next to Alabama assistant Colson Thompson. I said, oh, they done messed up now. And sure enough, she came back in and went punch for punch with Keely Parks from Team Lex, who also is in our top 20. We'll get to Parks here in a second. But it was just really cool to watch it. And that, for me, I like signature moments when I know that this kid can play. That was the signature moment for me. Still uncommitted. See where she goes. Continuing to narrow it down, but she would be a great gift for anybody left on that list. Addie Deal out of California. We'll go to the other side of the country from Florida for this one. I've been a big deal advocate for a couple of years. I love a talented kid who really wants to put in the work, right? Who I feel like every day is just completely locked into what they're doing. She suffered a really unique injury at Christmas of last year where, she ended up rolling her ankle, and it ended up being more than that. There was just a lot of stuff that was involved with it. It took her about 120 days to get back on the floor at full speed. And then, another 90, I think, to get back to where she was rolling. But you look at how her physical composition has changed, especially through her shoulders and arms. And I actually saw a post, Bree, who does some work for Nike, took a great picture, and you could just see the definition in Addie's arms and how hard she's been working in the weight room. Big 6-foot guard, already committed to Iowa, can shoot the three, shoots it about 30, 36, 38 in game, can handle it. Scored right at 17 or 18 for Cal Stars, and that's tough. She played along with Davidson, had a great summer. And so I think that's another, you talk about All-American level talent. I think that's a 2-game All-American level talent. She'll be out in Vegas next week with a chance to prove that again at Wooten Camp. But I think that she belongs in that conversation. That's why we've got her in the top 10 today. Moving on, Oklahoma. Cool state this year, right? For a state that has a population of about 4 million, to have 7 kids placed inside of our 75, and then an 8th kid in Sanaya Richardson committed to SMU, who was a part of the Cy-Fair team that won it all, just on the outside looking in. That's a rarity. Unity, I actually saw them in May. They were at an event in Atlanta and got to lace them up against Kate Harpering, who has made a huge ascent, and we'll get to her next week. But Brandy Harrod and Avery Jelmstad, it's going to be hard to find 2 kids that you like paired together much more than what those 2 kids did this summer. I thought Brandy played her way literally up the board, right? Every time I looked, she very well could have been in the civil deal conversation for what I'm talking about. But she was fantastic. Just visited Auburn in Georgia. Has a ton of options. She's still narrowing and kind of figuring it out. But, big guard, new age wing forward. Can play a bunch of different positions, is shooting the basketball pretty well. She's a name that I've been screaming to everybody who will listen to me here for about 12 months, and she's making me look really bright right now. So if you're listening to this, I appreciate you, Brandy. Thank you. And then obviously with Avery, already committed to Utah, great length on the wing, can shoot the basketball, but has some skill stuff to her, right? She'll rebound it. We've talked about her trajectory quite a bit too, and both of those kids are kids who can play. Markayla Johnson just committed to Baylor. Fantastic, especially in the open floor. Different build than either of the other 2, but that kind of long guard, right, can play on the ball, probably an off-the-ball option at the next level, but handles it well enough to get you into something if you needed it, right? We call the secondary quarterback. So a lot to like about Markayla Johnson's game. She's a player. Keziah Lofton, right there in the Oklahoma City area, going to go to Oklahoma. Fantastic track level speed, right? Left-hand kid, driver off the bounce. As her three-pointer continues to improve, that's a place for her to grow. So much talent. She's great end-to-end. We've been on the floor together a couple times. Same thing with Brandy and Avery, and a lot of positives. Lofton just wants to work. I was talking to her about breaking down a shot, just a couple of pointers. She just looks at me like, bet, whatever you see, I'm here for, and I love that. Mackenzie Mathurin was just over here at overtime. Really good performance there. Just a great kid. Let's go put in the work. You talk about a shot maker. That's another kid. I just referenced Deal at the 36 to 38% from 3 in terms of college projection. Obviously, if you can get into the low 40s, great. Now you're, Tahina Powell or Tessa Johnston, where you're one of the best shooters in America. But I like to go low end. Y'all will learn that about me. I'd rather go with a lower projection, but it's going to, probably stick. 36 to 38 feels fair for Mackenzie. She's going to Michigan. Keely Parks, who I mentioned just a minute ago in the battle with Jada Civil that day, thought her club coach, Katie Hensel, did a great job of using her during the course of the summer. Played her a little differently based on, injuries and roster availability and some of those things for Team Lex. But Parks really just did it all. And everything that I mentioned about Deal, the way that, her frame has progressed, and you can see she's putting in the time. In Parks' case, it's just been able to add some size. She's always been in good shape, but being able to add a little bit of size and muscle to play through some contact. She's going to visit Oklahoma this weekend, and just to all accounts, a great kid on top of all of that. Definitely belongs here in this discussion. And last but certainly not least, headed out to Oregon will be Shania Williams, dynamic two guard, been on our radar since she played with the Banshees at an event. It was the Banshees, Exodus Thomas Davis, myself, Danny Rigo was still with Indy Gym Rats, and a great event there at the end of July a couple of years back, right on the backside of COVID. Really liked Williams' game then. I still like it now. And it's hard, honestly, because those kids are all so good, not to just kind of put them in a grouping. Know that, hey, any one of these kids could break out, or any two of them could break out and fly. Not overthink it, but just have the evaluations right. And that's something you hear a lot from me, too. I'll touch on that here before the end of the show. Last but not least, overarching topic-wise, lots made now at McDonald's All-American game. With this class, they're the next up, and that game is obviously great in the spring. A lot of that voting will come to a head there at the end of January. So the first half of your season gives you a chance. One of the reasons why I like the Nike TOC event so much. And the same thing for She Got Game. Gives you a chance to get in front of some people again, let them see you one more time, see where your progress is. I actually was talking to Aubrey Shaw about that the other day, from up there in the Midwest, just continuing to just play, right? And then the Naismith All-American, the whole series, right? There's Player of the Year, National Player of the Year, All-American teams. A lot of the people who help vote for McDonald's vote for Naismith. I'm fortunate enough to be the chair of the Naismith Committee for the Board of Directors. Our executive director, Eric Oberman, does a fantastic job, and that's become a really prestigious award as well. So all the kids that we just mentioned, and obviously all the kids that are in the rankings this year and that top 75 are going to have a chance to be in the mix for those things as the season winds on. And that's one of the best parts, I think, about the senior year. A lot of times your college is chosen before the ball gets tipped up, but it's the chance to be Miss Basketball, the chance to be first team All-State, win the state title. If you're going to like a non-traditional private, a Mount Verde, whatever, we play for the national championship, Long Island Lutheran, DME Academy, IMG Academy, all those people also fall into those boats. So really excited to see what the school season brings. Appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoy the rankings, but honestly, more important than the number, dive into the eval. See what I think about the kid. Every single kid that we got has an evaluation attached. That is a unique function to us at 247 for now, that the rest of the industry has not adopted. That every kid has a player profile and an eval where I've seen them. I talk about their game, what they can do. Please, please, please dive into that. Obviously, I'm always here for the numbers discussion, but I'm going to be wrong sometimes, and that's okay. But hopefully I nailed the eval, and it's exactly where you are, with maybe a sentence about where you can go and where you can project to. Very similar to what I just said about Deal and Mathurin, where they're currently college-wise probably mid to high 30s three-point shooters, but could project to being low 40s, which is the best in the country. Appreciate y'all. Look forward to next week. The 2026 class has been awesome to track. Got a couple wrinkles already there. We'll get back to it. Until then, Indy Gym is home.